and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras here with ILTV's Morning Briefing.
IDF Sergeant Elor Azaria was convicted of manslaughter yesterday for the fatal shooting of a disarmed and incapacitated assailant. Sentencing is set to come at a later date. But a surprising majority of Israelis are today calling for Azaria's pardon. Nearly 67% of Israelis polled in a Channel 2 survey said they would support a pardon, and 19% said he shouldn't be. The details of the case largely rely on personal account and a video published by B'Tselem. The video shows Azaria shooting Abdel Fattah al-Sharif on the ground 15 minutes after Sharif had stabbed one other soldier. Azaria claims he thought Sharif was going to detonate an explosive vest, thus warranting the shooting. Following the guilty verdict, protests were held, condemnations of the verdict, and even death threats against the judges were made. Several have been arrested. Support for Azaria even came from many of Israel's top politicians, with even Education Minister Naftali Bennett and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu joining the pleas to give Azaria clemency. Police have arrested a 54-year-old man from Jerusalem and a 22-year-old woman from Kiryat Gat on suspicion of inciting violence against the judges who convicted Sergeant Elor Azaria of manslaughter. The Jerusalem man wrote a post on his Facebook page expressing radical criticism of the judge's decision to convict Azaria, writing, "Colonel Maya Heller will not finish her year." The Kiryat Gat woman uploaded a post saying, "Take a grenade and blow up the judge and scatter all of her parts in different places. Let the dogs eat her." The woman was questioned and released. Social media was then flooded with swear words, harsh language, and incitement against head Judge Heller, and as a result, the IDF assigned a security detail to protect all three judges, as well as the chief military prosecutor in the case, Lieutenant Colonel Nadav Weissman. Police are now saying that two Haifa shootings that took place on Tuesday within an hour of each other were indeed related, and there's a growing suspicion among security services that they were both connected and carried out due to nationalistic motives. The shooter or shooters are still on the loose after a 2-day manhunt. The first shooting took place at approximately 9:30 a.m. on Hatzmaut Street, where 48-year-old Rabbi Yechiel Iluz, a judge on the Haifa Rabbinical Court for Conversions, was shot multiple times. He was seriously wounded before being evacuated to Rambam Medical Center. The second shooting occurred on Hagiborim Street around 10:20 a.m. The victim, 47-year-old Guy Kafari, was fatally wounded and pronounced dead on the scene by Magen David Adom medics. A gag order has been issued by the Haifa Magistrates Court on the publication of any information in the murder case. A new poll conducted by Politico and Morning Consult shows that more Americans back UNSC Resolution 2334 at 35% than oppose at 28%. Resolution 2334 declares all settlement construction a violation of international law, but it includes historically Jewish cities and holy sites listed as solely Muslim. It also represents a giant rift in status quo American policy at the UN to veto bias resolutions such as this one. The majority of respondents in the poll gave no opinion on many questions, citing lack of knowledge on the subject. Contrary to U.S. voters, bipartisan support in the Senate resulted in a coalition which introduced legislation to repeal or fundamentally alter Resolution 2334. It also demands of the Obama administration to reject any further efforts to impose solutions on the Israelis and Palestinians. Democratic Senator Ben Cardin, one of the co-sponsors for the bill, said that the UN resolution was, quote, a one-sided text that makes direct negotiations for a two-state solution more challenging, end quote. Prime Minister Netanyahu and other top Israeli officials have said the same thing in the past, stating that impositions like those likely to result from the Paris Peace Summit later this month, or resolutions like 2334, only make coming to the negotiating table harder. Netanyahu has repeatedly claimed that only direct negotiations without preconditions can result in a lasting peace. Major Chagai Ben-Ari, who was mortally wounded during the Protective Edge campaign in 2014, was laid to rest in the Golan Heights yesterday. The funeral procession left from Ben-Ari's town of Nov and proceeded to the nearby cemetery in Chispin. Ben-Ari died Tuesday after 2.5 years in a coma. His commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel Uri Tauber, spoke about Ben-Ari's leadership and his willingness to stand at the front of his unit during the Protective Edge incursion. Former Defense Minister Moshe Ya'alon said that Ben-Ari taught and reminded those of us who needed a reminder what it means to be a hero. Ben-Ari is survived by his wife Moriah and 3 children. He was the 68th IDF victim of the 2014 Gaza war.
That's all for now. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.